Welcome back to our channel 217 Prince Y. The chapter begins. Above the ruined cityscape, helicopters circled as chaos raged below. The streets were torn apart, buildings scarred with cracks, and burning wreckage scattered across the battlefield. Magic beasts prowled through the destruction, their monstrous roars echoing between the towers as soldiers scrambled for survival. From within the smoke, a shadow surged forward. With blinding speed, Suho's figure cut through the battlefield. His strike met a beast head-on, the impact exploding with a burst of energy that sent the creature collapsing instantly. Its luminous eyes widened in terror before fading into lifeless stillness. Suho pressed forward without pause, his movements fluid and overwhelming. Another beast lunged at him with its gaping maw, only for him to leap high into the air. His body twisted mid-flight, and with precise force, he brought his strike down upon its skull, the blow crushing the monster with brutal finality. The battlefield trembled beneath the weight of his strength. Landing effortlessly amid the wreckage, Suho's calm expression revealed no strain. He looked over the fallen creatures in silence. They had all been taken down in a single strike each. A thought surfaced in his mind. He could no longer measure how much stronger he had become. Hunters clashed with the rampaging beasts, their blades fueled by unfamiliar power. One of them felt his movements surge with newfound speed, his body lighter than before. The black equipment that had manifested upon him radiated with otherworldly strength. With exhilaration in his eyes, he cut down a monster and shouted with conviction that he could kill these magic beasts with this strength. Suho observed from a distance, his sharp gaze studying the hunters as they fought with renewed vigor. The shadow equipment wrapped around them pulsed faintly, enhancing every motion, every strike. It was clear to him now, the stat-increasing effect of the shadow items was making the hunters stronger. Watching them hold their ground, Suho realized they no longer needed his help in this battle. Suho's hand extended, and his voice carried a quiet command that resonated with power. Arise. Shadows rippled outward, twisting and contorting into monstrous forms with glowing eyes and jagged teeth. The energy of the abyss surged at his call, reshaping into black armor and weaponry born of pure darkness. This was shadow creation, the skill he had obtained through his class advancement. A power that allowed him to take the essence of shadows and forge them into items. As the flow of information from his shadow soldiers poured into his mind, he understood the materials they once were: scales, claws, bones, essence, and he could now dismantle and reassemble them into whatever form he desired. Dark plates of armor formed around his body, each piece radiating ominous purple light. A shoulder guard materialized, hardened from naga scales, carrying the strength of creatures that once lived. Gauntlets took shape over his arms, crackling with latent force. A belt followed, cinching tightly, laced with the agility of the beasts whose shadows it was forged from. Every piece shimmered with runic inscriptions as the system displayed their attributes before him. The creation grade varied with each item. Those he could naturally envision emerged as rare grade, glowing with refined craftsmanship. But when he forced the process, the results faltered, creating mere common grade pieces. Suho narrowed his gaze, realizing the connection. True mastery lay in aligning the characteristics of the material to its intended form. Only then could higher-grade equipment be forged. His status window flickered before his eyes, listing his class: irregular, white shadow. His stats were formidable, bolstered by the shadow items he now wielded. New skills accompanied this power: storage to hold the crafted items within his own shadow, and contract, a binding ability that could turn heroic-grade items into levelable artifacts bearing unique names. Yet his attention lingered on the class name itself. White Shadow. The words echoed in his mind with a weight he did not yet understand. What did it mean? Why was this path chosen for him? As he contemplated, colossal beasts stirred, their massive forms lurching back into motion. Steps echoed sharply against the stone beneath him, steady and unfaltering. With every stride, the battlefield trembled, shadows curling at his heels as he prepared to meet what came next. But then suddenly another figure appeared, crashing the monster on the ground. The battlefield calmed for a fleeting moment as Suho stood, his black armor pulsing faintly with shadow energy. From the opposite side, a A white-haired figure approached, golden eyes gleaming with a mischievous spark. Their gazes locked, Suho's expression unreadable while the stranger's lips curved into a sly, knowing smile. It's the Apostle of Iterum. Without warning, the ground quaked as another monstrous beast erupted from beneath the rubble, its massive form crashing down. The Apostle instantly sprang into motion, the earth shattering beneath his leap. His figure glimmered as he charged forward with relentless speed, eyes fixed on the enemy ahead. With a casual raise of his hand, he commanded, "Amplify," his voice sharp as lightning. The air detonated in a golden explosion. Energy burst outward like a storm, and the monsters around him were obliterated in an instant. Blinding flashes illuminated the wreckage as their bodies crumbled to dust under the sheer force of his spell. Hunters nearby could only stare in awe. Their voices trembled as they whispered what their eyes could barely believe. He had defeated all those beasts, so many of them, in one devastating strike. The ruined city streets fell eerily silent, littered with the colossal remains of magic beasts, as the mysterious white-haired man stood unshaken in the center of the carnage. Suho blinked, turning toward the Apostle. Elsewhere, across the monitors, the battle footage played, Suho standing amidst the wreckage, facing the silver-haired stranger. Jean, who leans forward in shock, whispers rising in the room. He nearly collapsed in relief as he realized the figure was unmistakably Suho, alive and unscathed. His voice trembled as he shouted at the screen, berating Suho for not contacting them sooner, but his eyes betrayed his overwhelming relief. But then, Chairman Wu's phone rings. Elsewhere, news spread swiftly. Hunter Choi prepared themselves, hushed conversations filling the air. "Did you see the news? The Black Mask. Hunter Sung Suho has appeared," came the murmurs, echoing through the halls. His eyes hardened with suspicion and recognition. Hunter Lim's voice echoes on the other side. "The one I met with Lee Min-sung. It's definitely him," his voice sharp with certainty. He called for Suho's arrest, his suspicions framing him as a villain tied to the chaos of Star Powder and even to Min-sung's death. Yet opposition arose immediately, urging restraint Chairman Wu, reminding them that no evidence existed proving Suho to be evil. Amid this storm of accusation and defense, Hunter Choi's voice spoke with calm conviction. A hunter in a crimson coat acknowledged Suho's power, but insisted he be brought before the Hunters Association. He revealed his own investigation. Suho was connected to President Yu Jinho, nephew of the association's chairman. The hunter's words were laced with calculated sharpness, insisting justice be pursued wisely, not rashly. Back on the battlefield, a tense silence hung between Suho and the hunter. The latter apostle pressed a hand to his earpiece, reporting in a low tone. "Yes, Guildmaster. He's right in front of me." His golden eyes flickered towards Suho with predatory focus. Suho narrowed his gaze, recognizing the man. This was the one who had recently risen to prominence, gaining the title of S-rank hunter. The name surfaced in his thoughts like a whisper of foreboding, Park Do-jin. Suho studied him carefully, unease flickering in his thoughts. Why was this man smiling while looking at him? Yet again, that faint grin lingered as Do-jin pressed a hand to his earpiece, responding to his guild master's orders. Then, in a steady voice, he addressed him directly. "Hunter Sung Suho." Suho narrowed his gaze, confused. The smile hadn't faded. Do-jin's tone hardened, revealing the truth. The Reaper Guild Master had ordered him to escort Suho to the Hunters Association. This wasn't an offer, no recruitment. His words struck like iron. Suho was wanted, accused of the murder of Vice Guild Master Lee Min-sung and suspected of distributing Star Powder. Wanted. Suho's eyes widened at the accusation, the weight of the words sinking in. Park Do-jin's aura flared, golden energy surging around him like wildfire. "I'd appreciate it if you didn't make a mess," he warned, "and just followed me quietly." His presence was suffocating, authority rolling off him in waves. But before Suho could respond, the voices of hunters nearby cut through the tension. They stepped forward, anger burning in their eyes. "Wait, I don't know what misunderstanding you have, but he helped us. This is an abuse of power." Their defiance rang clear, a shield raised in Suho's defense. Suho lifted a hand calmly, his voice steady. "I'm fine. Thank you for standing up for me." The hunters froze, their anger tempered by the quiet confidence in his words. "I'll go on my own volition," Suho continued. His gaze hardened, unflinching. "I was thinking of going to the Hunters Association anyway." The hunters murmured among themselves, admiration sparking in their eyes. Suho's resolve was undeniable, his composure unshaken even under false accusations. "That young man really is admirable," one whispered. Another added with conviction, "He even gave us new gear." Suho exhaled, realizing something as the mist coiled around his hand. "Ah, I almost forgot to take the shadows with me." And with that, the battlefield stirred once more at his command. The shadow storage skill shimmered before Suho, its description etched in light. 14 items now rested within the depths of his darkness, ready to be summoned at will. A faint smile crossed his face as the black mist curled at his feet. Storing shadows made everything easier, more efficient. But from nearby, Park Dujin's golden eyes locked onto him. Suho's form reflected within their glow. His voice, low and deliberate, carried Suho's name. The tension between them sharpened. The atmosphere between Suho and Park Dujin thickened, a current of unspoken tension sparking between them. Dujin studied him intently. His growth was undeniable, his power vastly different from before. Whatever had happened in these past days had pushed Suho far beyond the ordinary. Suho's calm gaze cut through the silence. "Are you not coming?" he asked, stepping forward. Dujin followed at his side, his thoughts sharp and calculating. The possibility of the star fragment failing against him had grown slim. Until that mystery was unraveled, sticking close to Suho was the only choice. Suddenly, alarms blared. Hunters around them pulled out their phones, confusion spreading as red alerts flashed across their screens. An emergency warning had been issued. "What's this?" "An outbreak," someone muttered, shock creeping into their voices. The name of the place chilled them further, Jeson Prison, the facility where dangerous awakened criminals were locked away. Suho's eyes narrowed at the words illegal stimulant. Star powder. His mind immediately connected the dots, unease washing through him. Could it be tied to the chaos? His steps grew deliberate, his resolve forming. "I need to stop the inmates," Suho declared, determination firm in his tone. But Dujin countered coldly, warning him of the trouble he'd face if he didn't go to the association immediately. Suho held his ground. If the prisoners were empowered by star powder, then hunters alone would not be enough. Dujin's golden gaze lingered, conflicted. His expression shifted, the weight of command pressing against his conscience. Finally, with a steady exhale, he muttered, "Let's just say I failed to stop you, even though I tried my best." Flames flared around Suho's body, his aura blazing. Suho inclined his head in acknowledgement. "Thank you. I'll definitely visit the Hunters Association later." Suho's eyes sharpened, glowing with dangerous intensity as his final words slipped through clenched lips. Then, without wasting time, Suho launches himself into the air. Behind him, Hunter Park stood calmly. Park Dujin's golden eyes sharpened, a sly smile playing on his lips. "Great timing," he muttered. His tone dripped with calculation. "How about I confirm how much stronger he's become?" The alarms wailed furiously as Jeson Prison shook under a crimson glow. Its massive structure pulsed with warning sirens, red lights beaming into the sky like cries of despair. Deep within its walls, chaos stirred, and the weight of what was happening spread fear across every watchtower. A hand lifted a broken restraint into the light, its metallic surface still glowing faintly with suppression runes. The voice that followed carried quiet venom. "Truly, humans are so cruel." The shackle fell away, a symbol of confinement shattered, and with it, the gates to destruction began to open. The shattered shackles clattered against the scorched stone floor, the restraints that once suppressed their power now nothing but useless metal. One inmate lifted the broken band high, his voice filled with venom. "To think they'd jab mana crystals into our necks to kill us if we disobeyed. Humans are truly cruel." Around him, other prisoners, men with hardened eyes and scarred bodies, rose from the rubble. Their gazes burned with the same hatred. "Ain't that right, boys?" The man sneered, and the gathered inmates growled in agreement. He continued, his words seething with years of bitterness. "After the cataclysm, all we did was use the powers given to us to gain what we wanted. But the Hunters Association branded us as criminals, threw us into chains, and caged us like beasts. Now, I say it's time we get revenge. 100 prisoners stood shoulder to shoulder, their uniforms glowing in the firelight, their eyes gleaming with malice. From D rank to B rank, their power was not to be underestimated. The man's voice thundered above them. Release all the fury you've bottled up during this long oppression. Show them what our wrath can cause. The crowd erupted in cheers, the air thick with rebellion. At the heart of it all, one figure sat with a cruel grin, the flames dancing across his scarred face. His voice rang like a commandment, cold and merciless. Trigger the dungeon break. The man leaned forward, eyes glinting with feral delight. His name spread like a curse through the inferno, Huang Dong-suk, an inmate of Jeson prison. The uprising had begun. The shrill wail of sirens split the night sky, echoing across the city like a harbinger of disaster. From the steel towers above, red lights flashed, bathing the streets in an ominous glow. A voice boomed from the emergency broadcast system, urgent and unwavering. A massive prison break has occurred in the Jeson prison. The warning rippled through the empty streets, bouncing between skyscrapers as tension thickened. Nearby civilians, please evacuate immediately in accordance with the hunter in charge. Cars screeched as families fled. Windows shuttered, doors locked, and silence fell where life once moved freely. But amidst the chaos, a single home stood quiet, its hallway empty, shadows stretching long under the pale moonlight. Then, a spark flared against the steel door. Flames licked greedily at the handle, eating through metal as if it were paper. The fire grew hotter, brighter, until the lock gave way with a hiss. Heavy footsteps echoed inside. Figures emerged through the smoke, clad in torn prison uniforms, eyes gleaming with menace. One of them sneered, stepping further into the hall. "Isn't this place empty?" Another prisoner chuckled, brushing soot from his scorched hand. Must have run after hearing the alarm. The air shifted, thick with the stench of smoke and bloodlust. The monsters had arrived, not beasts from a dungeon, but humans who had long since lost their humanity. The men gripped their coats tightly, nervous tension thick in the air. But will we really be able to fight against the Hunters Association? There's an S rank in there. Another man scoffs, voice low but steady. Did you not hear the plan? What could an S rank possibly do if we were to take over the city and get hostages? He smirks, holding up a glowing stardust between his fingers. The golden light flickers in the dim room. Plus, we got this star fragment that Dong-suk Hyungnim got for us. He leans closer, eyes sharp. Why else would the Hunters Association spread rumors just to make this thing illegal? It's because they're scared. Scared that their authority might be reduced if everyone gets stronger. The man hesitates. I guess, if it's what Dong-suk Hyungnim says. A sinister grin spreads as the thought takes hold. A looming shadow fills their minds, dark, crimson, powerful. We'll have an S rank on our side too. Then another man's voice echoes. Hey, get over here. This place is a liquor gold mine. But it's a 30-year-old Macallan malt, though. One of them rushes toward the shelves, lifting a bottle with delight. Ah, seriously. We have to finish up here fast and leave. Another curses under his breath, staring at the bottle. Holy shit. Isn't that worth a few thousands? I can't just go by and ignore that, can I? Unseen by them, a young boy hides inside a locker, his terrified eyes peeking through the slits. His fingers tremble around his phone. I need to report them quickly. He dials with shaky hands, but the fear in his wide eyes only deepens as the line flickers to life. Then suddenly the man found him. The bottle tipped forward in the man's hand, crimson liquid glinting under the flicker of firelight. His grin twisted, mocking, as he dangled it in front of the trembling boy. Do you want some? The boy froze, the stench of alcohol mixing with smoke and blood as laughter echoed in the darkness. And then, an eruption. The city skyline roared alive with flame, towers of fire clawing at the heavens. Explosions cracked like thunder, sending glass and debris raining down. The restraints that once bound the inmates lay shattered, and the air carried the weight of chaos. From the rooftop above, a lone figure stood unmoved, his silhouette carved against the inferno. His voice was calm, almost amused. What a view! His name whispered through the chaos, Huang Dong-suk. C-rank fugitive. A man whose very words bent the will of others, his presence fueling the riot below. With just a single word from me, he muttered, eyes gleaming. Even the high-grade inmates are causing a riot. He bared his teeth in a smile, flames reflecting in his eyes. That's the power I, Hwang Dong-suk, have. But before the pride in his voice could fade, another presence stirred, measured, sharp. Let's get moving while the fugitives are buying time. Dong-suk's smirk faltered as his gaze shifted. The man beside him dared to speak, but his words carried no fear. Don't lecture me when you're just a lackey of my younger brother. The response came swift, unshaken. I am not your younger brother's subordinate, but rather commissioned for this instead. From the haze of smoke stepped a sharp-eyed figure, aura thrumming with dangerous calm. Kong Taeshik, B-rank awakener. For a moment, silence. Dong-suk's jaw tightened, his lips curling into a wordless snarl as the fire's glow painted his face in red. Tension climbed. Hwang Dong-suk grabbed Kong Taeshik by the collar, glaring down at him. You said you're a B-rank, didn't you? Are you looking down on me as well, just because my rank is low? Taeshik's eyes glinted coldly, his thoughts sharp and venomous. Acting all tough, when he's just a coward who couldn't even eat the star fragment because he's afraid of the side effects. Should I just kill him? In the shadows, another presence stirred, voice low and rumbling. The figure crouched, eyes glowing crimson. Challenging the Hunters Association? I don't care. That's just an excuse for those inmates to start up a ruckus. As long as you bring my older brother out of that ruckus, and to me, your commission ends here. The crimson glare burned hotter, the warning clear. You're aware of the consequences should you fail, yes? Back on the firelit rooftop, Dong-suk's growl cut through the smoke. Are you going to answer me? Kong Taeshik's gaze flickered, his voice calm, but edged with caution. I can't afford to have an S-rank as an enemy. He forced a thin smile, bowing to circumstance. Yes, I'll guide you as you wish. Meanwhile, on a helipad high above the city, rotors hummed. Hunters gathered, their armor gleaming under the dawn light. Hunter Choi stepped forward, eyes resolute. It's my first time being dispatched to a battle with you since the cataclysm. Hunter Wu with a calm expression. I can't just stand by and watch the civilians take any more harm. What happened to the restraints that the inmates were wearing? One voice demanded sharply. The reply came grim and steady. Someone destroyed the prison's administration center. In addition, nearby hunters of the association have received unidentified assaults, some even left in near-death conditions. The realization settled like frost in the man's eyes, his tone heavy. To think that the administration center, assigned with an A-rank guard, would be destroyed, considering that the villains at hand are also using star fragments. He raised his hand to his face, his gaze narrowing behind his glasses. It seems that someone powerful might be intervening. Meanwhile, at the helipad, the hunters had gathered. The rotor blades of the helicopter spun idly, whipping the air as the hunters stood in rigid silence. As I thought, one voice murmured, grim and certain. There was a ringleader behind the villain incident. A presence entered, the weight of it undeniable. Boots struck the concrete with calm authority. You're here, came the greeting, clipped but respectful. All eyes turned toward him. His silhouette broke into view, dark hair swaying in the winter air, his armored frame heavy with presence. Thank you for your cooperation, Hunter Lim Taegyu, Chairman Wu declared, his words laced with both gratitude and relief. Lim Taegyu's expression did not falter. His eyes, sharp as steel, cut across the rooftop toward the horizon of fire. Behind him, Hunter Park Doojin. Unseen amidst shadow, the mind of a Doojin churned with bitter clarity. His jaw clenched, and his voice growled low. It's currently impossible for me to face those S-ranks. His eyes gleamed, golden malice sparking within. Did Sung Suho fail to predict this outcome? The thought burned like poison. He replayed the past in his mind, the day the Hunters Association declared star powder illegal, and how he believed its spread would be crushed. But then, who would have thought that even the high-grade awakeners themselves would chase after star fragments, enduring the side effects just for a taste of power? The memory flashed before him, shadowed figures with glowing eyes, their bodies writhing under the stardust's corruption, yet still grasping for strength. Thanks to that, he sneered, I can observe the situation at hand from afar. How about, his voice rose, dripping with malice. I take my time and wait for Sung Suho. Suho boots struck the earth with a thunderous crack. Energy rippled outward, the ground fracturing beneath him. Flames danced at his heels as he broke into a run, his movements tearing through the city, leaving shockwaves in his wake. And above, Suho's voice pushed forward, strained but resolute. I thought I could get there immediately if I used beast possession. His body surged with borrowed speed, his vision blurring past shattered buildings. His heart thundered as if to tear through his chest. Gray, his thoughts trembled, burning with desperation. Just hold on a bit longer. The beast within roared, amplifying his stride. The world bent into streaks of green and gold as his figure launched skyward. Faster, harder, closer. The wind tore through the night sky, carrying with it the streaking blur of a figure leaping from rooftop to rooftop. His speed left arcs of lightning trailing in the air, every stride splitting the silence like thunder. Below, the city lay in chaos, flames devouring streets, buildings cracking, explosions echoing like war drums. Is this the place? The words ripped from his throat, sharp with urgency. His silver hair glinted under the storm, eyes blazing with determination as his body launched forward, slicing through the blackened skyline. A faint gasp left his lips as his gaze locked onto the epicenter of destruction. The shadows obeyed. Screams tore through the silence, blood-curdling pleas for mercy spilling out into the night. Help, please. I'll do anything. But mercy never came. Death's hand had no patience for bargaining. His heart thrashed inside his chest as the voices reached him. Desperate, dying cries, the sounds of humanity being extinguished. His breath caught. Are these the cries of people dying? His mind reeled. Was it the bond skill that cursed him with this heightened clarity, this unbearable awareness of every last scream? The ground split beneath his feet as he launched forward. He couldn't wait. The damage will only spread as time passes. Hesitation will cost lives. Wind howled as his body sliced through the city, rooftop to rooftop, faster, harder, a comet streaking through steel and glass. A blur leapt beside him, gray, faithful as ever. Together, they crashed through shattered walls, falling into a corridor thick with blood and smoke. His knees hit the ground, the stench clawing at his throat. What the hell? His voice cracked low. Bodies littered the floor. Crimson pooled against the walls. Eyes widened in shock as the prisoners turned to him. Confusion painted across their faces. A dog and a guy fell from the sky? His jaw clenched. Gray padded forward, flames licking softly at his fur. Nice work, Gray. He steadied his breath, rising to his feet. From here on out, I'll take care of it. But the men laughed, the gleam of blades flashing in their hands. What? Are you a hunter too? What can you possibly do when you're about to pass out? A hiss split the air. A shadow. A blur. The man's sneer froze, then cracked into terror as his knife shattered before it even touched flesh. What the? The walls shook with the sudden, violent impact. Screams ricocheted through the hall. If you escaped, his voice was low, trembling with restrained wrath. You should have just run. His eyes lifted, sharp as a blade. Droplets of blood slid down his face as his words carved through the silence. Why are you hurting people? The corridor quaked as the weight of his fury filled the air, and for the first time, the predators in front of him understood. They were no longer the hunters. The night split apart under the force of his arrival. The suffocating weight of the night pressed down on him as the chaos around grew sharper, clearer, voices breaking, screams clawing at his ears. I'll only say this once. The voice of death rumbled, footsteps echoing like a drumbeat of inevitability. We're short on time. A heavy boot crushed against a man's face, pinning flesh and stone alike. The darkness seeped around his figure, alive, whispering dread into the bones of every man that faced him. You have only two choices. His eyes burned like black fire. Pass out quietly, or resist and die. Chapter end here. For more, like, share, and subscribe.